All right, so I'm here with Assimilate Bash, and I'm going to start out with sharing my screen here. So I'll get right into it. And here we go. Let me just make this a little bit bigger. There we go. Make it about, looks good. All right, so first up, I'm going to create a repo inside of GitHub, and I'm going to go through here and call this Assimilate Bash. Or even, I think to start with Bash template would be the way to go. And I'll say a template for coding in Bash. And now what I'm going to do is add a README. And there isn't really a shell get ignore here, which is kind of interesting. Let's see, is there? Let's see. Elixir, Go dots. Yeah, I don't really see a template for shell. Yes, yeah. So what I'll do is I'll just use Python for get ignore. I'll do Creative Commons. There we go. Okay, so got all that set up. I'm going to create this repo. And the next thing that I'm going to do is I do want to make this a template so that people could pull it in and use it. So I'm going to click this button. I'm also going to set up code space pre-builds so that as I build a bunch of stuff in here, it'll quickly get created and it'll launch quicker. And then the other thing I'll do is I'm going to use a code space. So I'm going to select this, and I think I'm going to need to actually get rid of some because I have too many now. So let's delete a few more code spaces. Let's see here. Let's delete this one. And let's delete a couple more. Delete that one. Delete that one. Delete that one. All right, I should have enough room here. I think I've deleted enough. And then I'll go back to this template and I'll say, let's refresh. Now, one new option here that's kind of interesting that I hadn't seen before is it says configure dev container, which is interesting. What happens if I do that? Oh, I see. So, I mean, this is kind of cool actually. Before I even launch, in theory, I could actually search for features like Bash or Shell. Installs new shell, PowerShell, shell currently. Interesting. So there's some features you can add. So in theory, if you are super advanced, you could edit things here, but I'm not going to do that. I'm gonna do it on the fly inside of a code space. So I'm going to select new with options. I'm going to pick a big machine here. There we go. 16 core. All right. So next up, I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. And I would say probably the first thing to do for this template is to make sure that I've got the right extensions loaded for shell. So once this thing fully wakes up, I'm going to look inside of this extensions directory here. All right, so here we go. Here's the extensions. Let's select this. So it installed Jupyter, Python, it installed all these ones, but do they have any bash ones here? What do they got? Bash debug. What does this do? So features. So this is a bash debugger. Interesting. Start debugging. Looks kind of interesting. I'm more of a fan of official extensions. I don't know enough about this yet. It looks interesting, but so at some point I might play around with some of these for now, but I don't see any official templates, so I'm not going to play around with these yet. What if I say shell or bash lint would be kind of cool. Lint, code lint. What does this do? Um, Bash IDE, bash beautify. Well, that's interesting. Format bash scripts. If you need error checking, I like this idea. Bash beautify. Okay, let's try this. And maybe also let's follow his recommendation here, which is he says there's something called shell check. Oh, shell format. Okay, well let's try that out. Let's try shell format. Shell format. Go ahead and do that. Okay. I guess this looks like it was already installed, potentially. So it should show up on the side here. So well, I guess it's installed. So we have shell format. So if I go to extensions now and I get rid of these, we should see the ones that I've got installed. So I have bash beautify and I also have shell format. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to say add to dev container. No, I also want to do makefile because it can be very helpful to have a makefile when you're in the shell. And I could just do one more last search here if there's any other lint errors. Shell check. Oh, what's this? Shell check integrates into VS Code, a linter for shell scripts. Let's see this. Details, features. So it's got some good. Let's try this. Why not? Let's try a few of these. I think I got enough. So I got a few things inside of here. I think I already added this, but add files. So now we have to decide: do we want to tweak this container? I don't know if we do, but look at this: develop bash scripts. That is pretty cool. Let's maybe start with that. Actually, let's use the bash community Docker file here. And it looks like extensions are here, here, here. And let's go ahead and rebuild this. And let's try this out. So the idea here is that I can use a dev container that's already got a lot of the goodies that will help me code in Bash. And if we look at this, we can see it running. All right, so we got this. And what else can we get installed in here? So we'll start with this stuff for now. So we got here's our installation. So we got bash beautify, bash debug, all this, and then we'll also do Copilot. So Copilot, I'm going to do nightly, and I'm going to do labs as well. What if I did make file? Yeah, there we go. It's probably what I want. This is a good start here. And then again, I should be able to double check that all these are in my dev container, add to dev container, add to dev container, add to dev container, add to dev container, and then add to dev container. There we go. So now that I've got all those, I'm going to check this in. So I'm going to say git status, git add .dev container, git add dot npm ignore, git add dot. Actually, we don't. Well, why not? Sure. Let's say git add dot VS code. Let's say git status, git commit, adding initial structure. Let's try that out. All right, so we got all that running, and then because I had told this to do the code space pre-builds, it should be constantly trying to rebuild things as I push the changes. So that's nice. So that's going to be running in the background. So I guess really to start off with, what do I want to do here is I think the first thing to do is to potentially build out a like a hello world bash script. So we'll first start off with lesson 1 is build a hello world. So how would we do this? Well, we can just go through here and just say hello, hello world .sh, and then what do we want to put inside of a hello world script is user bin env bash, and then we also can chmod this so that it's executable. So now I just run it with /hello. So yeah, this is what's nice about Copilot is there's people that are gurus at Bash, and I can just get their advice, right? So we can say echo hello world, right? It already fills it out for me, and now I can just say hello world. There you go. Not bad. That's a pretty good start. Now, I'm curious if I created how you would lint things here. I don't see those extensions loaded yet. Like, for example, bash beautify. How does this thing work again? So it says, oh, make sure you have Python installed and add it to the path. So what do you do? So how do you use this thing? So it says, it doesn't really give me anything. It would be nice if there's like a formatter where I could just where I could just format my code automatically. It's going to take me a while to figure out all the different bash code space things here, but I mean, I guess for now we have something, and we can keep going. So I'm going to check in hello world. So we'll say git add hello world. We'll commit this first bash script. Okay. I'd say probably the next thing to build is inside of a bash environment. So we got that. We have one, and that will be just hello world.sh, hello world.sh. So probably the next thing to build after this would be a phrase repeater. So build a phrase repeater. This is kind of a classic repeater. I think it's ER. And so we'll call this phrase.sh here. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to say touch phrase.sh here. And then what we can do in this scenario is do the same thing. So we can do the user in env bash, and we can add a comment, and we can say, create a function that repeats a phrase in times. There we go. So this looks pretty good. So again, Copilot here is really going to be helping us out. The function could be called phrase, and yeah, perfect. That's exactly what I want. So let's say Let's see what they suggest because there's many different ways to define a function in Bash. Um, let's see. I have to actually look it up myself. Say man bash. And I grep it for function. Forget the way to create a bash function. If it's got a little tutorial here, let's see a function. Here we go. So a shell function is object, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, so we can do that. So we can do like function phrase, something like that. How about that? Let's see what happens. Is it smart enough? Is Copilot smart enough to it's not giving me any answers, which is kind of interesting. Let's see what this does. If I just keep doing it, that's smart enough to know to put some code in. Looks like it's struggling here. Bring it out. Kind of stuck in a. Yeah, it's not doing anything. So I think I need to break it out of here. Well, fortunately, I've already written this before, so I can just grab something I've written before. So I'm going to go to one of my repos and look up phrase bash scripts. Let's find something I've written. Bash functions. No, I think I have a bash command line tool here somewhere. Let's like bash scripts, loops, reverse building bash scripts. Oh, bash CLI. How about that? Nope. Let's find a bash using bash. I've got this phrase repeater here somewhere. I think I remembered actually in there we go. This is a repo I created a long time ago. Let's go here and let's go to bash. There we go. All right. So what did I do last time? So generate a phrase in times phrase generator. So let's see if we can kind of wake it up and let's see if it knows, like if this makes it smarter. There we go. I wonder if it's using my code. No, it's a little bit different. There we go. So you just have to give it the right prompts. So number one is phrase, number two is number time. So it looks like a nice little nice little documented function as well, which is pretty cool. And then it's gonna do that. It's gonna do phrase generator hello world. So let's try it. So let's go ahead and do phrase mod plus x. Let's do phrase. This will run it without. There we go. Yeah. So that was pretty easy, but now what we want to do is we want to create a tool. There you go. So nope, that's not exactly what I want. But let's prompt it again. So let's do this. We'll parse some options. See if this wakes it up here. Looks like it did. Okay, so basically we can now it is an interesting question for what is the best way to document a bash function. I don't know, but we'll start with this. We'll just say that looks good, documentation, and then what this does is it takes a -p and then takes the phrase and looks pretty good. So let's try that. So let's go ahead and do this. Let's just say phrase. We can say um, dash phrase is hello, and we'll say dash number equals 10. Oh, so we got a bug here on line 31. So what is the line expected in a file? Let's check out what I did. Oh, I didn't do run the program. So I need to do close out the case, add a shift and a done. So we did that. We did close out the case, and then we need to do a shift and done. There we go. Why did it not echo? So phrase, because where am I calling this function up here? Let's double check here. So that was phrase generator, phrase. Oh, and then I got to run the, yeah, I actually got to pass the stuff captured in there into the program. That's the essentially the main, the, at the very bottom, I then actually need to invoke the function with what I accepted from the command line. So run the program with the options captured from CLI. Exactly. Now we can run this thing. Huh. Is that not working? Let's see here. Interesting. So, and this is where debugging things can get a little bit tricky with Bash. I think with Bash, there's a, I always have to look this up, Bash debugging mode. Bash debug mode. Got to go here. And you can do Bash X. And let's try that. So let's just say Bash X phrase. And then we'll do this. Allow this. All right, well, that didn't really help us too much. Debugging part of scripts. I think so. These are the different things you can do. You can see print shell input as they're read. Set V. Once you can add an echo before each command. Alternately, these modes can be specified in the script. So let's put this to the into our README. Like we can say like debugging tips. You know, debugging tips. Go here. There you go. So I think one thing I can do is that, yes, something looks, it would be nice if I could lint this thing. That's the real thing that's killing me is how to lint. Let me look one more time for a linter because this is lint bash. Let's see here. Lint bash. Shell format. Let's try this. And let's go back to, we got this extension loaded. But see, it's interesting. It doesn't give us, I don't see it here. You can, so downloaded, you can use it successfully, but I don't see it inside of my environment here. Let's see if I can find a open source bash linter. So let's say bash linter. Every time I look for this, I don't find something, but let's try one more time. VS Code. So shell check. looks super old. So how does this work? So shell check. In order to get it, you need a shim script. Well, that's using Docker version. That's interesting. Maybe this. I mean, this got good ratings here. Let's take a look at it. Take a look at this. So go through here. I'll say shell check. There we go. That looks good. And what does this do? An extension that provides linting from multiple languages. Features. Ruby. Well, let's start with this one. Now, I guess I can rebuild my environment real quick to see if this will load the this shell check, and I will do rebuild container. Let's try that. So I don't. Oh no, wait. Is this here? Run and debug. So this is interesting. We got a debugger here, which I don't know how it works, but it's kind of interesting. Add configuration, bash, hard-coded script name. I don't know if this works or not. Not sure exactly how this thing actually works. Well, I will just kill this thing because I don't know what it's doing. But what I could do, because I know I have a version working in the past, is that I can just make phrase2.sh. What I can do is grab this one and just do a diff, basically. Oh, but that's count. Well, let's see that. Let's see what happens. So if I just go to phrase2, let's just do a diff between phrase and phrase2. And what is different here? So we can get rid of the comments at the top because that's going to be, and we could probably do this as well, which is user bin env bash. Let's do it again here. Let's do a diff. So what do we got that's different here? Create a for echo. That's interesting. So if we look at phrase 2 and we look at phrase 1, phrase generator, these look pretty similar. Well, just to keep moving here, what I can do in phrase, let's just see if phrase 2 works. So that let's just do bash phrase 2, and then I can do dash count is 5 and phrase hello. There you go. So that does work. So something got subtly screwed up inside of here, and it's a little bit difficult for me to debug. So this is where I think the linting tools are so nice. So I guess what I'll do is I'm going to say mv phrase 2 to phrase. We're just going to nuke the other one I created, and I can go with something I worked on years ago, and we know that this one works. And I'll chmod it. We'll call phrase .sh. But yeah, so I think this is at least decent. And we can say like example. How about that? Does it generate? Let's try that phrase. Let's see if we can run the example that they give me. Pretty cool. So, I mean, I don't know what the subtle bug was, but that is the fix here, was to use the one I had before. So let's go ahead and say git status, git add. Now, kind of am regretting the VS Code edition here, so I'm going to edit git ignore real quick. Vim's not installed. Annoying. So what I'm going to do is I'm also going to go back to the dev container Docker file, and I'm going to say vim. I believe that would fix it. Let's say, what happens if I do this? APK. Shouldn't it be apt get install vim? Oh. I don't know about this particular variant here, which is kind of annoying. So I'm using somebody's bash example here, but I don't 100% know the documentation around this thing. And let's take a look at this real quick. So if I go here, they give me some answers. No. I could Google this. And we could go here, and we could do this. Dev containers. So we got to let's look at some of these dev containers here. Wow, I got to star this. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to go to README. I say list of dev containers. It's possible this dev container is not the one I want. Let's see here. Oh, Bash. Who's this? Who is this? This looks. Oh, this is the community one. And this is what I was using. Dev container JSON. I see. Now, what I don't know about this, we have the Docker file. APK. I don't know what that is. I use apt-get. I'm not sure what APK is gonna do for me. Let's see if there's documentation. So develop scripts with Bash, Bash IDE, Bash debug. Let's see, dev container. So this is, I guess it's because Debian. I don't use Debian. I'm gonna have to say install Debian here. I guess I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to abandon ship here. I don't like their template, basically. So what I'm going to do is I don't think it got me anything, and it made it worse. So I'm going to add dev container here. Yes, continue. So I'm gonna change this up, and what I want to do instead is I'm gonna go, instead of using the community because I don't think it got me anything, I want to use just the regular like uh, universal. There we go. I just want to use default. And then do I want to install any other packages in here? I don't think I could look real quick. We have other shells. Installs fish shell. I mean, that is interesting. I don't really know fish shell, but maybe. And Haddo Lints is interesting. Maybe homebrew. Try to see if there's any other shell kind of things in here. But shell history. Yeah, I don't think I'm just going to use that. So there's a file. Yes, overwrite this thing. So basically, I'm going to go back to the Microsoft version versus I don't know what was in that container. It was doing some weird stuff. So I'm going to rebuild container. There we go. I guess I'd much rather have something that Microsoft has built themselves, and then I can go back to my extensions and look at the ones installed. And there's going to be a bunch of extensions here, which is pretty crazy actually. But I'm going to install Copilot again. So Copilot nightly, and then labs. There we go. And then Makefile. If I go to installed extensions here. And we go to installed, add to dev container. There we go. So got all this stuff. I'm going to say get status here. Get status, get add.dev container. The vim.getIgnore, which should now work. Actually, now Vim works. And I'm going to ignore VS Code. I don't care about that. Vim. And I'm going to do this. Should have not added that. Status. Get ignore. Where's it? I screwed up. So .vs code. Not state for commit. I think because I had previously checked that in, say get rm.vs code -r. See, I think it'll rebuild itself. Dash if. There we go. Get status. Now we're talking. So get add. Get ignore. Get add. Readme. Get add phrase. Right. Get status. So in theory, then behind the scenes, it's going to go back to this. And every time I make a change, there we go. It's going to rebuild another version of this. So if I go back to pre-build here real quick, or actions, I go to one of these. Hmm. Yeah, I keep forgetting how you get to the show the badge for this. It's the UI is just wacky, but there's some badge link somewhere where I can find. Anyway, I can't find it, but it doesn't matter. So I think the universal is going to be better for Bash. And if I do phrase, um, we can look at the documentation, and it's going to tell me exactly what to run, which would be this. In fact, might even be um, might even be good to do this. Now, could I add a help menu to this? That would be kind of cool. Let's see, like let's see, like if how would we do this? Shift add help option. Where would I add that? Would it be here? Let's see. After shift, it would be -C help go usage back to 0, and then that. Does that work? Let's try it out. Help. Nope. It did not work. Maybe because yeah, so the problem is that I need to do some kind of conditional here that says, now where would I add the if statement for case and key? If key is equal to H. Okay, that might be better. Right, so I can get rid of that. Let's try that. H key is equal to H, then usage. So unexpected. Hmm. I'm gonna have to look into how to do this. The conditional here. If key. I wonder if you would do that separately. Let's see if I can Google for this. Let's say add help option bash. Let's see what we can find out. Add a help method. Here's an example. So we see while GitOps. Now, am I using GitOps? No. What if I'm not using GitOps? This looks good. The first argument to a shell script available. So the simplest. Oh, yeah, okay, that makes sense. So basically, I would get rid of this here. I don't want to put it in the case statement. And I just say here, basically, you know, if the user usage. Let's try that. Each. And 13, there's a bug. But look, it says if the user Oh, because I did dash dash. Oh, okay. Cool. And now we need to change this to the clean code. There we go. Yeah, so Copilot is definitely helping me here. Oh, there we go. That's pretty cool. And I probably would want to say if, wouldn't it be or? So if I would do an or here, that would be just to make it a little bit cleaner. Yeah, I mean, this is definitely pretty good for anything more complex. Well, I'll take my win, which is I made this thing. I made this thing. If this is equal to this, but couldn't I just do this? Couldn't I do or that should help? That work? Let's see here. Nope. If the first one or let's try that. Does that work? I'm not an expert in Bash or nope. Making it worse. Like an ask if Copilot will help me. Let's say like create a help function with dash h and dash h help. If see if it's smart enough. If there's no, well, that's better, right? So if there's no arguments, good. And then, but what if I want to do if the number of arguments is not 4, and then no. So this is just basically generic. Just say print help. It's better. It's more robust, I guess. But I think we could put is message. Well, let's try this out. So there we go. And then if I do nothing, same thing. And if I do 1, 2, same thing. So I mean, not horrible. This is just like basic error handling. So yeah, I think I mean this is not bad, but missing a lint. So let's go ahead and add this phrase. Go ahead and commit this. Adding phrase. So before I push though, let me just add to the README. Built this, I would say lesson 2 to do. Lesson 2. Let's figure out a build system to check and lint bash code. Really would help me out quite a bit. So I'm going to say get status, get add, adding working CLI. There you go. All right. So a couple weeks from now, I'll keep going with Bash. See you then.